Hey, friends! Your old pal, Barkey Dog here, back with another movie review. Giganticism! Small things being made ginormous, and therefore becoming a threat to mankind. Sometimes it's science gone wrong, as we saw in my review of Tarantula. I hate spiders, and this was about a giant one. Oh, hate them things. But usually, these things are brought on by radiation from atomic tests, mankind dabbling with forces he can't understand and are beyond his control. Kinda like a toddler playing with a live hand grenade. That's not going to turn out so well, especially for the furniture. Now, the ultimate radiation-making small things big movie was, of course, them. Giant ants. Ooh, oh boy, they're creepy. I'll have to review that one, but I want to stock up on a few gallons of Raid first. Ugh. But I have another one for you, and this one is more like the Japanese kaiju pictures in that the monster is big because it was from prehistoric times when dinosaurs were running around. So this time, we're talking about the Deadly Mantis from 1957. Now, one of my viewers, Hunter, he very kindly sent me this here Blu-ray off of my wish list. Thanks, man! He also sent me some other ones, like some Hammer horror movies. I'll have to save those for next Halloween, so thanks in advance, man! Now, the Deadly Mantis, I remember seeing this on the old Creature Double Feature on Channel 56 in Boston, but it's been forever since I last saw it. So let's take a look. Our story goes like this. One day in the southern Atlantic, a volcano erupts, which in turn shakes things up in the Arctic. That doesn't bother the Air Force, as the men on duty keeping America safe from those no-good Ruskies and their sneak attacks are hard at work manning the early warning system. Meanwhile, there's a giant prehistoric praying mantis on ice up there, and it gets woken up by all the shaking going on. The commies probably let it out. Just the sort of thing they'd do. Well, pretty soon, men and planes are mysteriously wrecked, and our intrepid hero, Colonel Studley Joe Parkman, investigates. Nothing makes sense, so he does what Perry Mason would do. He consults Paul Drake. Paul here is a scientist who studies stuff, and before too long, he and Not Della Street here figure out the Air Force is up against a giant-assed praying mantis. And they are. What follows is a running battle to bring down this monster before he can clear the way for communism. After attacking an Eskimo village and an Air Force base, the mantis makes its way south, threatening all of mankind in the good old USA. Can our heroes put the kibosh on this creepy Crowley? Will the mantis rule the world? And what of love? In our cast, Craig Stevens plays Colonel Parkman. He went on to play Private Eye Peter Gunn, while fellow cast member William Hopper soon took up the role of Paul Drake on Perry Mason. We last saw him in my review of Conquest of Space. Alix Talton plays Not Della Street here, Paul Drake's assistant. If you don't know her name, that isn't too surprising. She was in this movie and The Man Who Knew Too Much with Jimmy Stewart, that Hitchcock film. Her first big break was on the TV version of My Favorite Husband in 1953. Then she was in a movie that featured Bill Haley and his Comets called Rock Around the Clock. But other than that, she mostly did one-off appearances on TV. This movie is probably her biggest claim to fame, if we're honest. All the guys are disproportionately gaga for this chick. I don't know why exactly, except it must be pretty lonely up at those Arctic outposts. She's not Barbara Rush or Mara Corday or a leading lady like them. She's obviously a little below par. So all that gaga stuff seems a little forced. It's hard to believe the men all go for her. She's serviceable enough in this role, though, and more attractive than the praying mantis, at least. There's a hella amount of stock footage here, which is no surprise for a sci-fi movie from this era. Footage of the military in action were plentiful and cheap, and that's why we see so much of it. And the scenes in the Eskimo village, the mantis attacks, were lifted from SOS Iceberg, a movie from 1933, which starred Leni Riefenstahl. She didn't direct that one, she just plays a character in it. As threats go, the mantis seems like a temporary one. It can't reproduce, probably, so mankind just has to wait it out until it croaks. But who knows how long that'll take, and it's not clear if this is a male or a female, really, so it's best to blast it. This mantis is probably just lonely. That's why he comes to the city, but he finds there's no other giant mantises running around out there. Like, he goes to the club and he just can't seem to find anyone suitable. We've all been there, right? But even if he gets with a lady mantis, she gets mad at him and goes and bites his head off. What fun is that? I mean, the guy, he's lonely, and there's nothing he can do, so he takes it out on mankind. These giant insects, they're almost as bad as teenagers, especially the ones today. I mean, they say love is love, but you just know these kids would never go out with a praying mantis. No, bunch of hypocrites. Anyway, a praying mantis wouldn't handle sub-zero temperatures very well, no matter how big it was. And you can't blame this one on global warming because that hadn't started to happen yet. But giant monsters play by different rules, so we'll have to let that one pass. This is one of the shots that I remember best, with the mantis climbing up the Washington Monument. They used a real mantis here, obviously, but most of the time the mantis is a sort of marionette type thing. It looks really good, though, except when it's flying. That looks a little weak. In real life, a mantis this size could never get off the ground, but again, it's a movie, so let's just roll with it. But where this one falls down is that it spends a lot of time talking about the national defense setup. It's practically a love letter to the Air Force and the early warning system. They even include the Ground Observer Corps, a civilian group of volunteers that was formed during World War II. They were aircraft spotters who basically monitored the skies. Kind of like the Coast Watchers, I guess, same idea. They disbanded in 1958, a year after this picture came out. Well, the filmmakers spend probably too much time in stock footageville. This one is really imaginative, and praying mantises aren't a typical horror or sci-fi subject, even though they can be terrifying when you think about it. But so long as they're regular sized, they're good for the garden, and they inspired a whole style of kung fu. This Blu-ray from Shout Factory is the one to get. As a bonus, it also comes with the Mystery Science Theater version of the Deadly Mantis. This one is a treat, probably lesser known than Them or Tarantula. The creature effects are pretty good with the marionette too, so I'm giving the Deadly Mantis 2¼ paws up. 2 big paws. You might even say giant paws. Like a lot of these kind of movies, it's a lot of fun. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.